As a DM, the one thing you can always count on is the fact that your players want stuff, and you can use that to trap them, which is what happened when I was playing Dungeon World. It follows on this story from this story right here, because, I ended up missing a session, and in between that video and this one, the team managed to save me from what turned out to be a cat king. Think Rat King, but made of cats with a shiny magic stone at the middle that we still don't know what it does, and managed to collect an owl bear as a follower. So now we have a warrior, a thief, and an owl bear as followers. And obviously sticking with the theme of our followers, the owlbear was called Hooch. So what happened was we escaped the evil and cleansed the church, which we were doing at the end of the last video. So we escaped the city. After all that, we managed to leave. We left on a caravan, and we began this session setting up camp to rest, level up, and get some sort of plan together, which ended up being that we were off to a... I don't remember. Whatever, it's not important. Whoops. As we were setting up camp, we took watch. On my watch, I heard horrible growling sounds in the forests in which we were camping, and fortunately I managed to completely succeed my observation roll, which calmed my nerves because it was just the owlbear hunting. The owlbear came up to me and dumped a couple of dead rabbits in my lap, and then managed to just inhale one. You know the way that owls do that, and just kind of sat there looking expectantly at me and this dead rabbit in my lap. So what I hoped I wasn't going to have to do was eat a live or recently alive rabbit. So I began skinning it and peeling it and gutting it and preparing it. And the owlbear got a bit aggressive, like, what are you doing? So I ended up giving it the second rabbit, and fortunately it just gulped that down as well and went to sleep. I was, having not spent a lot of time with this owlbear, I thought that was the best option, to just feed it. I think that's its cost as well. Followers have costs in this Dungeon World game, and food, lots and lots of food, is the cost for the owlbear, which we were reminded in that evening is a nocturnal predator. So the shift changed to Barbosa, the gallant elf barbarian, who failed his watch roll. And in the morning, when everyone woke up, they started realizing that lots of stuff of theirs had been stolen. At which point they all looked at me and were like, if whoever did it returns the things now, we shall say no more. And I'm like, that is very diplomatic of you. Thank you very much for saying what we were all thinking. So who took it? Because I didn't know. At which point there was a merchant screaming, there's a thing in my caravan, please help. So what happened was we jumped into this caravan. The elf barbarian Barbosa basically, simultaneously the cleric cast Hold Person, the elf barbarian cast Hold Person with its big beefy hands. So this glowy, pale, black-eyed, bug-eyed creature that just kind of sang at you. Imagine that bit where Mr. Burns pretends to thinks he's an alien. That's what I had in my head. Anyway, this thing wasn't going anywhere, but we couldn't get any information out of it. At which point I took inventory of what had been stolen. There was some copper, there was some other, like, wire and resources and trinkets and weapons being stolen. And I thought, well, hang on, are they making something? And I remembered that I had, from a previous session, stolen a book about how to make golems. So I flipped through it, and I was looking, and it didn't really tell me what they were trying to make, and I couldn't make that connection. But what I did find, because this is a very specific kind of golem book, which I need to research more when I get back to that game. Anyway, what I found out was that these are ethereals, and they come from a different dimension? And the immolator Ash was just like, I know, I can help you out here. Right in front of us, he pulled out a knife, stabbed the ethereal, sacrificing it to his ritual, which turned it into a portal into the ethereal realm. At which point, Barbosa the barbarian, me, and Maximilian the ranger all went through, and Ash, the immolator, was like, the portal might be here when you get back. I guess we'll find out. Unfortunately, what happened when we went through the portal was that we found out there was no ground immediately on the other side, and two of us, me and Maximilian, fell into what seemed to be some kind of weird, glowy spider web. Very, very pretty, but also that must have been some sort of trigger, because out of nowhere, an ethereal appeared. Barbosa the barbarian ripped us out of this spider web, and in doing so left himself open to be stabbed by this horrible thing which pulled a giant knife out of its hand out of nowhere and shanked him for like 10 damage. He only has like 25. It's incredible. Anyway, we started to move through this tunnel made of webbing, and there was one thick trunk of web that we could stand on and move through into the next room. And I thinking back to being trapped in a spider web, thought, I'm a rogue. I have the ability to detect traps and help us around them. Which fortunately meant that we detected more slithers of breakable spiderweb stuff, which fortunately helped us carefully step over them and avoid teleporting more of these ethereal things to us. We don't know where the ethereal went that shanked our friend, but we just decided the best thing to do would be to just keep moving. Now, Maximilian has a best friend. Because he's a ranger, he can talk to small animals, and his pet is a rat called Pinky, and Pinky is adorable. And we can't hear it, but we can hear this stupid, impulsive ranger talking to a rat. And Pinky the rat, being naive, not very smart, and very enthusiastic to help out Max, just skitters on ahead, leading us through these winding, conjoined trunks of giant spiderweb. As we emerge from this tunnel, it opens out into a giant room, and very, very far away seems to be an entire wall of spiderweb with things stuck to it, shiny things. The thread itself is glittering with all sorts of trinkets, and my eyes turn into cash symbols, and all I think about is trying to get over there. I walk for a bit, but I don't seem to get any closer, and Pinky, being our current scout, squeaks to Max like, actually, I think we gotta go back. My animal instincts are like, we should go back, Max. This is the way, don't worry about it. So we go back into the tunnel with which we entered this room. But as we go into it, we appear to be at the large end of a kind of cone. And as we travel through this tunnel, the sides start to switch, and we emerge at the large end of the cone again and look back and see the other end is a very small cone. And fortunately for us, or especially fortunately for me and my thief Watserus, we appear right next to the shiny trinkets, which is the perfect opportunity for a thief to do thieving. So what I do is I test the spiderweb, because I'm a smart thief, you know? Everyone else is impulsive. I think about things. So what I do is I check the spider web. It's duct tape for animals. Starts. I touch it. I test it to make sure I won't get stuck to the spider web. Call an alarm or something like that. I don't manage to split it or call an alarm, but what I do figure out is that it's sticky. It's going to be a difficult climb. So I oil my hands up to make sure I'm less sticky and start climbing all the way to this gorgeous looking sword, which, it's good stuff. I just fixate on this thing, climb up and grab a hold. At which point, I thwip out of existence. I, as the DM described to me, fold in on myself. And the other two watch in amazement as I disappear into a speck and go somewhere. But I'm a thief, so my only question is, do I still have the sword? And, you know, there's the classic DM facepalm, yes, you have the sword. So the other two are at a bit of a loss. They're trying to find the stuff that was stolen, and I completely forgot to mention this earlier, one of our followers was stolen, which is a no-go area. Our warrior, Guinness. So there's a barbarian and a ranger just stuck in a non-Euclidean universe, thinking, well, how on earth do we find things? They see a room ahead of them, and they enter it, but it appears to be upside down. There's stairs, there's tables, the ceiling is the floor, they're standing on the ceiling, and the DM, in what I thought was really cool, was just like, where do you think you have to go? Barbosa and Max were just like, I guess I have to go up the stairs? And the DM was like, cool, you're going down the stairs. Please try and roll me a strength check. So the first one started climbing up or down the stairs, and he failed, so he fell up the stairs. At which point, fortunately, the rogue managed to kind of lean into not gravity and climb down the stairs, which left them at the next room that they magically entered. So they're now on the floor, which is on the ceiling, but they could get through the door into the next room. Meanwhile, my thief Watserus was clutching a sword like, yes, I've got it! Where am I? In front of me appeared to be 5 of the ethereal creepy dudes sitting on huge piles of treasure. And I thought, well, I want to get treasure and I want to get out of here. So, I'm gonna make a new friend. I'm gonna poison them. I brought out my golden root poison. With my new leveled up ability, I just applied it to a pin and carefully went up to one of the ethereals on the biggest pile of treasure and just pinpricked him. I was like, hello, new friend. How are you? And obviously they can't talk. So I just got a creepy, kind of singing reply. And was like, perfect. Can I have some of your treasure? And he was like, and I was like, no. Except I didn't eat it. I don't know why I said nom. The problem here was that I only had a little bit of time to steal stuff. I got one amazing thing. It was a cloak. It was kind of cool, so I put it on. I don't know what it does. We'll figure that out later. My time was up because the other ethereals were surrounding me, and I looked about and tried to figure out the best way to leave. I asked my new best friend for help, but all he did was try to slice my face off. They slowly encroached on me, pinning me in the center of this circle, and they did the creepy thing they do, and I did the creeped out thing I did, and fortunately both Watsarus and Max heard this echoing throughout the creepy dimension and came to my aid. They rushed through into the room with the piles of treasure and were like, I will save you, with a big great sword. They also saw me, and the weird thing was I was starting to go a bit pale. My fingers were starting to get longer and my eyes were going a weird colour and starting to look a bit like an ethereal. Meanwhile, I was taking this opportunity to steal more stuff. And the golden one actually reached through the dimension, its hand appearing out of nowhere next to me, picked me up and dragged me to its pile of stuff. I was a bit bewildered, so I sat there on top of this pile of stuff as it fought with the other two. And to be honest, I was feeling quite flattered. I was some sort of treasure. That's flattering, obviously, but a little bit objectifying. So I decided to inform them of this and leave. Fortunately, between finding me and falling down the stairs, the other two had found both some of the treasure and our follower, as well as a couple of other people who'd been kidnapped. One of them was a wizard called, I think, Ipni? I don't know what their name was, but they smoked a pipe and they had too many clothes. That was their defining feature. They had too many clothes on. Ipni was like, right, when you're sorted and you find your friend, come back to me. So that's where we left it, in the middle of a fight, waiting to leave. So thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed this or any of my other videos, then subscribe and maybe post it in your favorite RPG story place. I don't know. But until next time, mustache.